Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to interpret and make a critical analysis of the famous narrative poem Sohrab and Rustum, written by eminent Victorian poet Matthew Arnold. Students, today I'm going to deal with the opening part of the extract of this poem, which is prescribed in your syllabus, and I'm sure all of you must have watched the first video of this four-part series on Sohrab and Rustum. Students, I'm talking about the video 1, where I have given a brief outline of the story of Rustum and Sohrab. And the extract which we are to analyze and interpret, it begins with when Sohrab, the son, is just wounded by his father Rustum in the combat. So what happens? Let's see. The poem opens with Sohrab lying wounded with his life, gradually escaping from his grasp. He's just on his deathbed. He's just struggling between life and death, and his father Rustum stands by him. And how that struggle of life and death ends, and Sohrab lies motionless, and his father Rustum just sits by his side, broken and distressed. That is the content of this extract. So let's begin. He spoke, and Sohrab smiled on him and took the spear and drew it from his side and eased his wound's imperious anguish. But the blood came welling from the open gash, and life flowed with the stream. Students, here he is for Rustum. Rustum is speaking to his son, who is just struggling between life and death, because now he has come to know that he has just tried to kill his own son. And now on the other hand, Sohrab, he's just smiling. There is a smile on his face that he's there in his father's hands. And Sohrab, he just took the spear from the wound on his arm and drew it out just to ease, just to soothe the imperious anguish, the unbearable pain of the wound that is made by that spear which was thrown upon him by his father Rustum. And when he drew the spear out, what happened? But the blood came welling from the open gash, from that open cut. Gash is for the wound, that open cut, that open injury. The blood came just welling out, pouring out, flowing out. And with the flow of the blood, what happened? Life flowed with the stream. With that stream of blood, life flowed out from the body of Sohrab. All down his cold white side, the crimson torrent rain. So how pathetic the scene was, that the blood-drenched body of Sohrab is lying over there. His cold white side, his cold white body, because all the blood has been drained out. That crimson torrent is for the flow of the blood which is coming out from his body. That crimson stream of blood is just running, and it has ultimately got dim now and soiled, because that blood has just drained out of body of Sohrab, and it has now mixed with the sand, mixed with the soil of the battleground. So it has got dim. Like the soiled tissue of white violets left freshly gathered on their native bank by children whom their nurses call with haste indoors from the sun's eye, Here Matthew Arnold is comparing that soiled blood, or that blood of Sohrab which is mixed with sand, with the soiled tissue of white violets, white petals of the violet flowers which are soiled, which are just crushed into the sand or soil. And what had happened with those very flowers? They are left over there by the kids who had just gathered them from the banks of the river in their native plains, their native river, and now as their nurses, their governesses have called them to come back home, hurry up, to return home, because the sun is just so pricky, the sunlight is so pricky, the heat of the sun is so pricky. So just to save them from the sun's eye, just to save them from the heat of the sun, the nurses, the governesses just called them, and those children, they were playing with those very white violets, and they have left them on the sands of the river bank from where they have got. So here he is comparing that soiled blood with the soiled petals of the violets. And here the poet has used the simile, and also in the last phrase, the sun's eye, he is giving, he has just personified sun. His head drooped low, his limbs grew slack, motionless, white he lay. Then what is happening? Gradually the life is just moving out. The life force is being drained out from the wounded body of Sohrab, and his head is just bending down, and his limbs are growing passive, motionless, and his body is lying white. White means without any blood. The bloodless body is lying over there, and his eyes are closed, and only the heavy breathing is audible there, only when heavy gasps. When heavy gasps, deep heavy gasps, quivering through all his frame, convulsed him back to life. Students, what is happening with the poor Sohrab? He is just struggling hard to get hold of the life force, and with his open mouth, the heavy, deep breathing is just quivering, just trembling in his body. His breath is just trembling. Quiver is for tremble, and the frame word is for the body. So through his body, those very heavy gasps, the open mouth, heavy breathing is just trembling there. The life force is trembling to be there in his body, and those very heavy gasps had just convulsed him. They had just violently shaken his body to come back to life. So he opened them, and then he just tried to open his eyes. And after opening them, fixed them feebly on his father's face. He fixed his eyes very weakly. Feeble is for weak. Weakly on the face of his father. Till now all strength was ebbed, and by now the whole strength of his body was drained out with the blood, and from his limbs unwillingly the spirit fled away, and from his body, from his physical body, from his limbs, his soul just fled away. His soul just left his body unwillingly, because that soul still wants to live there in that vibrant, positive, brave soldier, regretting the warm mansion which it left. The spirit, the soul fled away with great regret that now it is going to leave that cozy mansion, that cozy palace. Here, the warm mansion phrase is used for the body, the vibrant, the brave, the strong, stout body of the son of Rustum, Sohrab, and youth and bloom. And secondly, that spirit is in regret, because now that spirit is to leave the body of a young man. That spirit is to leave the bloom, the splendor, the vibrancy, the vitality of the youth, and the delightful word and the happy word, which is happy surroundings, the pleasing surroundings. The spirit has to leave now. So in this way, Matthew Arnold has just given the pathetic picture when Sohrab lies wounded on the battlefield with his father Rustum. So what happens next in this extract we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.